In this quick video, we are going to do OTT on versus off and talk about when you should and shouldn't use it. So I have this quick thing here, just a drum loop and a bass sound. This is what it sounds like with OTT off on the bass. That's a pretty cool sound. We're going to throw OTT on that channel though, and we're going to compare. So I'm just going to solo the bass here. This is what it sounds like with OTT, but it's important to note OTT loads up at 100%. So it's going to sound dramatic. Check this out. So a couple things worth mentioning here. OTT at 100% is going to come out quieter, and that's not necessarily a fair comparison because you might assume that louder sounds a little bit better, but you're generally going to notice the tone difference, but we're going to try to gain match these, so that way our comparison is a little bit more fair. So that's a little more accurate now. Let's do an on versus off. We're going to start with it on. Now turn it off. So you could hear there's a very dramatic tone difference there. The original sample now with no OTT sounds kind of dark. And by that I mean like it's lacking a lot of that high end. That's not necessarily a bad thing though. And this is something you're going to find quite often with OTT. It's going to add a lot of that, and as well as that, it's going to bring your tails up. What I mean by that is like, look here on the sound, for example. This is where like the sound ends and you just have like a little reverb swell, sort of. So it sounds like this. Let me make that a little more like, there we go. Like that. This is our little reverb hit. Hear how quiet it is? If we throw OTT on there, it's now kind of just as loud as the original thing was. And that's a very specific effect you'll get with heavy multiband compression, or really just heavy compression in general, which is what OTT is. It's a multiband compressor. But as well, OTT isn't something you want to use at 100%, at least not all the time. It's something that if you decide to reach for it, you're going to want to mix it to taste, because it does have some nice benefits to what it's doing to the sound, but not really if you crank it all the way, because it's just going to sound a little too much. Let's see if we can get like a nice fair balance of OTT on this. I'm going to put our out gain back to around 0. That's at 100, and again, this is at 0. So what happens if we put it about here? It's starting to get that brightness, but it's not over the top, which, you know, considering the name, ironic. But keep going. I think around 50 or so sounds pretty good. Let's compare that. So off versus on. So it's a little quieter. We want to boost our out gain just a hair again. But you see, that's just doing good stuff to the sound rather than bad. And that's important to note, because if you overdo it, it could sound quite bad, I think. OTT does have a very specific sound. But if you get it just right, it is a welcomed effect. Let's check out what we've done in the context of this, though, which again is just a drum loop. But let's check it out. So we'll start with it off, and on the second repetition, we'll turn it on. I think that's good. I think we could even do a little bit more, maybe around 60%. And upper out gain. That actually seems like a bit much, but that's how you find the balance. There's a lot of different settings you can mess with, especially like upward and downwards percentage as well, and controlling the individual bands. It does give you quite a lot of options, which is great. But that's my video here on OTT on versus off. If this helped you out, be sure to drop a like on it, as that helps me, and subscribe for future music production videos. If you want to grab OTT as well, this is a free plugin. Link will be in the description. But thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next video.